Euro Asian Bob strikes again. This is his 2001 CLK55 AMG, and you guys asked for it. You said, I want to see that car. I've been seeing it in the background. I want to see it up close and personal. That's what we're going to do today. Let's take a look at this sweet CLK. This one's been here for a little bit, and it didn't have a lot of trouble. It didn't have a lot of serious issues. Euro Asian Bob just noticed when he's at idle, he could feel the engine vibrating through the body. That is such a common theme with these older 2000 and newer Mercedes, and some of the older ones too, but it automatically comes to mind. Motor mounts, transmission mount, and I have yet to be wrong on that. We're going to take a look at what it took to do those, and we'll take a look around this car. You guys want to check it out? Let's get started. Here is the beautiful front of the CLK55. They don't really make cars like this anymore that look so sweet. Everything's got those LED eyebrows on them. They look like angry anime characters or something. This one looks very classic. It looks very cool. Of course, you can see it's black. Got the beautiful AMG wheels, and being that they're staggered wheels, you will not be doing tire rotations on this vehicle. Hoovy actually used to have one of these many years ago when I was actually working out of my shop at home at my house. It was also very nice. It was the same color, in fact. There's the nice AMG badge on the rear end. This car is in really good shape, guys. It's very, very nice. No scratches, no dents. No cracks on the glass. It looks like it wants to go fast, and it can. It can go very fast. Let's take a look under the hood. It is missing the Mercedes emblem. It does have the AMG emblem on the engine cover. This is the 5.5 liter V8, and it has lots of power. Roughly 340 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. And none of that is done with a turbo or a supercharger. It is all raw, naturally aspirated power. That's what's so cool about these cars. This is before they were sticking turbos on everything. It was tuned for very, very much power. Right here is a common problem on these era of Mercedes, is the throttle position sensor. Everything works perfectly fine until you want to race your buddy and you get into 3/4 throttle or full throttle, and all of a sudden it goes into reduced power mode and you lose your race. And you're like, what happened? And you think some major issue has happened? No, it's just this throttle position sensor. It's throttle by wire, but it still has a cable. It comes out to a sensor, and then the sensor actuates the throttle body. Kind of a hybrid system for throttle actuation. The engine's sitting a little higher since we put the new motor mounts on. It was sunken pretty bad, and it is a very common issue on these. Let's go ahead and let Mrs. Wizard take a look at the interior.
So, ladies and gents, we can see there this is just shy of 90,000 miles. This car is looking great. Standard classic Mercedes styling in here. Another, as we've got the term going, garage princess. That dash is looking fabulous with this little bit of wood trim up there as well. As we look down, standard radio, standard controls. It's just a standard, Mercedes gear shift. One thing that's kind of fun is if we open up the drink tray here, it's kind of fun. We push the button, and it comes out like a nice robotic arm. Push the button again, it presses back down. Kind of a fun little feature. Lots of engineering to make that one happen, and it's still alive and working to this day. We do have a little bit of a AMG kind of a design there on the door. It's kind of hard to see this faded just a little bit, but you can see that there with the light that I have shining on it. As we can see that the car is lined with a dark gray and a light gray leather. You see that there's a two-tone on the seats as well and on the door panel, and that they do have lumbar support controls on both passenger and driver's side. And in the back seat, we do have two bucket seats with an armrest between and a lovely console in the middle. Now, not a lot of legroom, but again, this is an AMG, and you don't need to weigh it down with lots of people in the back seat, because if you're trying to go fast, you don't need the extra weight in the car. The headliner is looking really, really good. The sunroof There's the roof of our shop. It is looking good, slides back very smooth and easy. No signs of water leaks or damage there. Let's get this in the air.
So as always, we'll start at the condenser and radiator area and check for leaks. We can actually look through this scoop on the chin spoiler and look and see if there's any damage or bugs clogging up the condenser or anything like that. It all looks clean. Take a look underneath here. There is a shield. Can't really see a whole lot, but if it had an antifreeze leak, it would be coming out of this little hole or all around the edges around in here from the belly pan. Go ahead and take a look up here. The brakes are about half gone, but they have a lot of life left on them. It's got some Bilstein shocks on it. No sway bar link, it's directly connected to the control arm. Nothing loose there. Move over to this side. Brakes are half gone, but still lots of life. Nothing loose. Sway bar's tight, the shock is nice and dry, so that looks good. There is tiny seepage here on the bell housing. It's nothing really to worry about yet. It's so small, it's really not even worth talking about, but it is there, you can see it. But while we're in this area, we're going to talk about the motor mounts. You can see it there, it looks like a big circular object. Those are brand new. The engine's sitting nice and high, and it's absorbing all the vibrations like it should. The old ones were collapsed so much that the oil pan wasn't very far from this cross member. And you can usually tell that the upper rubber portion of that motor mount, it looks like a kind of a triangular shape, a dome shape on the top. And when they go bad, it won't be dome shaped anymore, it'll be flat. The old ones were flat as a pancake, and it totally makes sense why Euro-Asian Bob was feeling vibration through the frame of the body. And we look at the transmission. It's nice and dry. And here's another thing that we changed out here was the transmission mount. Let me go grab an old one and show you guys what it looks like. So this is the old one that came off. This is off of a different model, but I'm going to give you guys the idea of what I'm talking about here. On this new one, you can see the rubber on the sides is a nice 45-degree angle. It's nice and high. I can put my finger underneath the center portion of the mount. This is brand new. Let's take a look at the old one that came off of this car. I can't get my finger in there, and the rubber sides are now U-shaped. They're completely collapsed. With the weight of the transmission on this mount, it was fully contacting the metal bottom. It was squished all the way down. As you can see, it is no longer like that. I can put my finger underneath it, even with the weight of the transmission on it. The flex disc right above that has no cracks in it. It's in really good shape. Exhaust is stock and it's also in good shape. Here's our rear flex disc. It's in very good condition. Up inside this heat shield there is a U-joint there. You definitely don't want to miss out on checking for play there, but there is none on this car. Our rear differential is nice and dry. There's no play. Everything looks good there. One nice thing about these cars and some of the older Mercedes is the fuel pump is not where you have to drop the whole fuel tank and do all kinds of crazy work. It's literally under this panel. We'll take a look at it here in a minute from the back side. Our CV shaft and boots are good. The brakes back here, the same story. They're about half gone. Everything looks nice and tight here. Same thing on this side. Brakes look good. Everything's nice and tight. CV shaft and boots look good. Nothing loose there. See our fuel pump and our fuel filter easily accessible right there. And this is our trunk pan and exhaust and everything looks good. The tires look like they're in good shape. Typically on these, on the rear, I go ahead and look at the rear because I know they've been doing burnouts in this car. This car is really made for that. And this one's in very good shape. The tires are nice. Go ahead and get this thing on the ground. These years of Mercedes, whether it be CLK, E-Class, S-Class, it doesn't matter. They all have the same trouble with the motor mounts and transmission mount. I get a phone call from a customer, hey, I got a 2002 Mercedes S-Class and I can feel, it sounds like the engine's rumbling, something's wrong. And it's like, no, it's just your motor mounts, it's just your transmission mount. And they're like, really? And typically, to do all of them, depending on the car, it can be $600 or $700 to $1,000 to $1,200. It just depends on the car, because you got to figure in labor, guys. Remember that there's labor. Some of them are very easy to do, which means less labor. But if you've got a V12 like a S600 where there's twin turbos, they can be really hard to do. We did them on the Maybach that Hoovie has in Hoovie's garage, and they were really pretty tough. The way it's designed, there's so much crammed in there. So the prices can be so variable, even though it's the same type of work. It really depends on the engine package that it has, how much it's going to cost. So thinking about estimates and how much things cost, I've been getting bombarded with emails lately. Hey, I need an estimate on what's it going to cost to do this. I live in California or I live in wherever. Unfortunately, we only do estimates on cars when they're here at the shop. Because so many times we've been so far off base when a customer says, I need valve cover gaskets. How much does that cost? And I quote a price. Then we get the car here and find out there's something even more drastically wrong. It wasn't valve cover gaskets. The customer completely had it wrong. And then the price is much higher and the customer says, that's not what you quoted me. And I have to argue and spend time. I quoted you on valve cover gaskets. That's not what's wrong. There's something else wrong. So from here on out, until I physically see what's wrong with your car, you will not get an estimate through email. You will not get it. We don't do that anymore. And we really never have done that much. Occasionally I would here and there, but definitely now I'm not going to offer that as an option. If you want to estimate, the car needs to be in the shop. It's just that simple. That way you can get a more accurate price, exactly what's wrong with your car. It's going to cost this much. Not maybe just, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. I don't like to do estimates on that way. The Ferrari behind me, we haven't been doing a whole lot. We've been really focusing pretty hard on getting all these cars done. There's so many in the shop. And you guys know the motto, if there's a chance I can make money, I would rather do that than spend money. So we're definitely making some money in the shop. There's so much to do. Eurasian Bob gets a hold of some really cool cars. I don't know how he does it. He has a knack for it. This is another one of them. It's a really, really sweet car. There's a link in the description below if you want to go to his website or contact him on what does it cost to buy this car. Or if you're in the market of any kind of other specialty car, he's the guy to get a hold of. Please do not contact Crazy D in the office. He is not a salesman for Euro-Asian. You need to get a hold of Euro-Asian Bob if you want to buy this car. So, if you're curious what kind of tools we use to do the motor mounts on this car, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button because there's many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.